Welcome to the second of 3 on-demand webinars focused on how professional services firms can modernize their business. Hello, I'm Mark Secula with the marketing group at Velosio. Velosio is a leading partner of Microsoft, specializing in cloud technology and business applications to improve your operations. This session will focus on how organizations can streamline their operations and projects, leveraging the right processes and technology. We have with us Lance Knepper. Lance serves as the VP of Digital Platform Strategy. He's a leader in our Modern Platform Services group with a focus on data management, solution architecture, process automation, business insights, and analytics. He has over 30 years of experience. Hello, Lance.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We also have with us Rob Urbanowitz, VP of Enterprise Services. Rob leads our professional services clients from strategy to execution in the areas of CRM and ERP, as well as other areas of the business. He works with all types of professional services organizations, from accounting, tax, consulting firms, marketing services, and many others. Rob also has over 30 years of experience in business applications. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So Rob, maybe you can take our audience through how professional services firms differ from other organizations.
Yeah, I'll absolutely do that, Mark. First of all, the services sector in the U.S. is the largest sector in our economy. So it's definitely a significant portion of the U.S. GDP. And the uniqueness that I see in the professional services firms it's really about having skilled resources that are assigned to projects and billed at profitable rates. Many firms that we work with have partner owners as well, and those leaders have grown up in the business, serving clients and then eventually evolving to an equity or a profitability-based compensation model. And some of those firms have recurring and repeatable business, like annual audits in an accounting firm or system upgrades in an IT firm, but others have retainers with subcontracted work, like a marketing agency or a design firm. I think what's really important, though, while there's differences in each of these professional services organizations, what they all have in common are the challenges that keep us up at night. It's utilization levels, backlog, capacity planning, forecasting and scheduling, and, of course, low-paying clients. But the bottom line is that we all must leverage skilled people that are deployed to client projects at maximum capacity to drive profitability.
Thanks for that, Rob. For professional services firms, what are the dynamics impacting their operations? Lance, maybe you can provide your thoughts.
Yeah, I've got definitely a couple good thoughts. And one thing I think for sure is client expectations continue to evolve. I think they're definitely looking for flexibility in the service model that professional service firms provide. Essentially, the way that they can engage with those folks. And in the world today, we have this backdrop of digital transformation and rapid shift towards modernization. And leveraging things like the cloud, essentially, that's important to help get there. But ultimately, the need and desire to really implement projects that help support that through an agile methodology, those are all things that clients expect. They're driving towards more value. They're looking for that higher quality work and ultimately faster delivery and solutions and services. Rob, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, Lance, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, technology definitely plays a big role. But, one thing I found is that the reality is the ProServ firms have grown 10% in 2019, but headcount only grew 9%.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing is profits actually decreased. So what that tells me is that there's a lot of pressure on talent, recruiting for talent, getting qualified talent. And we all know there's tons of open positions. In fact, there's 1.2 million open positions in professional services in the U.S. So competition has never been more fierce, and high turnover means firms have to rapidly recruit and onboard talent. So one thing that's important for ProServ firms is to make sure that their workers can achieve tenure and be very effective when they're working in your organization. We have to get rid of that administrative friction that a lot of our consultants have today, which is, putting together timesheets and, apps that aren't really well integrated and a lot of manual effort and processes.
Right. Yeah, and we've seen, the pull of resources and be able to find strong talent. And I think some of that's also driven by the competitive marketplace there is. We have our traditional firms, the larger firms, and certainly they're very relevant, but maybe they don't enjoy the same dominance because of a lot of smaller firms that are also maybe more boutique can serve those a la carte services. And that really all puts a demand, I think, on the consultants and the resources. The pool is certainly shrunk over the years.
Yeah, and you know what? Because that pool has shrunk, what managers really need to do is now better manage and their operations and their profitability. I mean, you've got to have your resources well deployed, and you've got to be able to manage them with resource forecasting, quick understanding of utilization, and where to tweak the utilization to drive profitability.
Yeah, so really it's the people side. It's really improving those processes ultimately. And then, I think as I started with technology, I mean, we have this evolution, and really it's moving quickly around automation and digital technologies and really disruption, right back to the digital transformation. So the advancement of these platforms too, social media, mobile, cloud, big data, AI, ultimately these are all progressing through in really all industries, but professional services especially. And I think it's interesting as we look at staffing and people. These technologies could also have an impact on, I don't see a day personally where robots are going to, in the next 2-3 years, going to completely replace consultants, because we have this knowledge that humans need to bring. I think you need to bring together technology and the human factor to really expand how we service our customers in this space.
Yeah, and that automation is critical because, what I think about the firms that are scheduling in an automated manner, which really optimizes their resources with the clients that they fit and the skills that they have. And that allows them to accelerate projects, which accelerates revenue, gets their resources deployed more, and that has higher utilization levels. And it also results in happier consultants and employees because they're working on the work that they want to do.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that's interesting, Lance, and this is recent, one of the market dynamics we're seeing is now this coronavirus that we're all aware of is all of a sudden impacting the work environment where our workers would come to the office or go to the client site, and now they're forced to work remotely. And having them work remotely now means that they've got to have access to information and data and, be in an environment where they can still collaborate with their clients and teams that they're working on projects. There's no more stopping by the office to share documents or collect data, so all of that needs to be automated today in order to work for a remote worker.
Absolutely, and a lot of companies haven't made that full shift, right? So they're behind the scenes, they're behind the curve, I believe, on really helping their employees get to that point of being able to work digitally, remotely, and have that interaction, collaboration, and tools like things like Office 365 and Teams. Things like the Power Platform, where you can actually develop mobile solutions and communications to really improve that both internally, but also as you're interacting with the clients. I think that's critical to have those tools in place.
Yep.
So that's really good. You pointed out some interesting dynamics impacting the professional services firms. You both pointed out some key areas. So let's talk about the cloud. What's the benefit to their organization? Rob, can you provide your insight?
Yeah, let me give you a little perspective, Mark, at least what I think about. One of the basics that a cloud platform brings to the table is the ability to integrate multiple applications. And one of the easiest to bring together is expense capture and integrating that with scheduling in your calendar and Office 365. Just think about this. If you had your employees and your consultants gaining efficiencies because of just their calendar and their time reporting and their expense reporting by just 30 minutes a week, that could result in literally a huge margin increase in just doing the math. If you have 100 billable resources, this would add $500,000 to a bottom line in a $20 million firm. And that's like literally 2.5% margin. How about you, Lance?
Yeah, I look at the cloud, and I've looked at it from the infrastructure and the compute services around technology. But I think it still comes down to ultimately, once you've implemented a cloud platform, how do you leverage that cloud platform? And some of the benefits around moving quickly, the ability to adjust your business platform as your business quickly evolves. I think about, typically with cloud, you think of the benefit around predictable costs. So you don't have the infrastructure, you don't, essentially have the labor requirements around managing that system. And it also can grow as you need it. So I think, if you think about professional services, and time is literally money, and Rob, as you say, and making those administrative areas easier for your consultants, but also for your customers and your clients and how they interact with you. whether it be paying bills, whether it be reviewing project status. I think you really have to focus on, continue to focus on the business process. You got to make sure you have the right data in place to manage that, and then provide the right insights to your all your stakeholders, whether it be your clients as well as your internal employees. So I think one thing as we've looked at even at Velosio and how we have helped service our customers as well is how do we put in the right process, the right system, the right tools to ultimately provide that single viewpoint and one voice of the truth. And no different than a lot of companies that we work with. There's a lot of, if you don't step back and look at the process areas, you can find very easily, as you do, a lot of manual processes, a lot of disconnected processes. So Rob, as we work together on these areas and these initiatives, I think several things kind of came up. So, ultimately, as an organization, and what we, again, very typically see with clients that we work with is, stepping back and evaluating how do we improve different areas and how do we improve the ability to manage data, to be able to view and interact, or provide that self-service functionality. So some of the areas for us that's very important and what we see with other clients is how do you forecast out what's coming from a business perspective, how resources are going to be needed and required. So a couple areas that we, as we evaluated it, there's a lot of manual pieces. There's different spreadsheets being leveraged. So first, you really just have to focus around standardization and ensuring that everyone is managing and leveraging a process that's flexible, is focused on the client experience, and really drives efficiencies in the process. So the ability to have an application, a mobile application that consultants or team members can go in and enter and forecast out project work was a key piece of that. So we leverage Power Platform to do that. Next, being able to then provide, you have the inputs to collect the data, but ultimately then how are you providing that data back for individuals to help make better decisions and drive, based upon those business insights. So using things like Power BI to develop dashboards that you can drill into, drill across, and be able to view data that maybe previously wasn't brought together through any kind of standard view or, a single voice of the truth. Next. Rob, you talked about the skills of the resources and the individuals and really the demands of resources. So once you have those resources, how do you not only understand what those skills are and how they bring to the table, but ultimately, how do you continue to improve and drive better skill sets for those employees as they're out, servicing your clients? So the ability to manage things like, this is critical data for as you're really planning out your practice and how you can help clients solve their business issues. We ended up going the route of actually developing a skills inventory matrix to be able to, within a mobile application, I can easily search, I can find skill sets, and I can match resources to project needs. And then lastly, the ability to have, thinking about we have people and we have work to get done. And ultimately, how do we bring those together from a process perspective? So one of the ways that we look to approach this is allowing project managers to say, hey, I have work. Ultimately, I know I have resources. How do I bring those together, matching skills, people to the project works that I have? So, as we really lay this out in the next slide, you'll see that ultimately it really does focus on the three elements of data, process, and people. So as a project lead, I can post the opportunity. Individuals that work within our organization can view the requirements for that project, ultimately raise their hand and say, hey, this is something that I have the skill to be able to be involved in. Their managers get notified, and essentially we can then match resources to project work and ultimately better satisfy the client's demand for time and budget.
Great. That's very interesting, Lance. If a firm is looking to either move to the cloud or maybe has some capabilities already on the cloud and needs to further expand on the cloud, what's the process or steps they would need to take? Maybe you could provide examples of companies that have done this.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Mark.
Sure.
I think about moving to the cloud, and it includes two facets. One is collaboration tools, and the second is business systems. From a collaboration tool perspective, there's key components of project-based firms that, require the teams to have client interactions or cross-team interactions, and that can be moved very quickly to the cloud for an immediate ROI. I think about using Microsoft Teams and starting with things just like file sharing and project schedule collaboration, and even storing past invoices in certain cases makes sense. And Microsoft Teams enables that, so that's an easy transition to the cloud. The second is around business systems, and that one is obviously more comprehensive. But automating your systems really creates the big efficiency gains as you move from legacy systems and silos of data and historically used for time tracking and billing to modern systems that allow for automating the end-to-end professional service workers experience and your operations. And the operations, as you move to the cloud, you can start with either, the front office with marketing and sales and quoting, or somewhere in the middle that is like client onboarding, planning, scheduling, or in the back office with billing, collections, and revenue recognition. And the good thing about the cloud is you can, migrate and move toward the cloud as it fits your business, and you don't have to bite it all in, one big chunk. Lance, what do you think? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think as I speak to clients, and as they're really in that process of, the cloud is obviously everyone's thinking that this is an area that they need to be really driving innovation on. And I think you first got to really determine your why and what you're trying to solve for. And ultimately, are you an organization that's looking to just modernize maybe existing systems? And ultimately, these could be things like, faster uptime, increased response time. Are you looking to just modernize existing systems? Are you really looking to transform your organization and how you do business, new products and services driven through digital transformation? So I think you really got to start with your why, and then ultimately how, then your how and what in the systems you implement. Rob, some of the things that you talked about are critical, I think, for companies that are looking to engage differently, both from an employee standpoint and a client perspective. So ultimately, then I think, like all projects, once you determine your why, then you can really discuss the best approach for implementing a plan. And so the old adage is fail to plan, plan to fail. And ultimately, you still have to go through the same processes, although they may be new technologies that you're looking to bring to the table. By having that cloud platform in place first, you can really move faster and more efficiently towards those solutions you want to bring to your stakeholders.
Yeah. And Mark, you had asked for an example of a client. And so we do have a client that I've been working with for the last 6 months now, and they're moving to the cloud. And the path that they chose that was best for their business and their operations was to start with the back office. So we've moved their financial and their accounting and the billing side of their business into the cloud. The next piece that we are about to embark on is the front office, the marketing and the sales and the quoting. And then the last piece we'll do is the middle. So it's not even in any particular order. I mean, it's really interesting how we're approaching it here, but it makes sense for their business. And that's what the cloud enables. You can do it in pieces and align it to where your business either has the most pain, the most challenges, or the most opportunities for improvement.
That's great. Thanks for that, Rob. So it brings us to kind of our closing thoughts. If you could both boil it down to some key areas where companies should focus on to improve operations, what would you say they are? Who wants to take this one? Rob?
Sure. Well, I think the reality is the digital revolution is real. And we know that what's happening inside the operations in an organization, they need to change. We've got to deal with this dynamic of the lack of talent. And how do we make our people more productive? And the only way we're going to be able to do it is we've got to eliminate manual processes and friction and allow our workers to become mobile, fully deployed, and engaged with clients and collaborate in a really a digital environment.
Yeah, and I think, it comes down to your intent and your strategies. Be intentional. You got to think strategic as you're looking to automate systems and processes, and really got to continue to act in an agile fashion. Because again, as business continues to change, you don't want to focus on digital transformation simply to automate, processes that maybe aren't even good processes. If you really want to transform your organization and focus on things that drive efficiency and productivity, it really comes down to that focus and the intent and the strategies that you're looking to implement, and be flexible.
Thanks, Rob and Lance. You both brought some great insight to our audience, and I think they really appreciate it. We hope you've enjoyed this session and came out of it with some new ideas to improving your operations and business and how to leverage the cloud. We hope you will join us for our next session, which will be on maximizing consultancy efficiency and performance. For now, thank you and have a great day.